Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm here today with Brett Meiselas, the brother of Ben, who actually, guys, I know everybody's been waiting for this day. Nobody more than Ben and Sochi for baby Jimena. They had the baby. So let's all just wish him a big, hearty, loving Midas Touch Network mazel to Ben and Sochi on the wonderful birth of their little girl. And so we have Uncle Brett here with us today in order to help take us through today's events. Now, how are you feeling there, Uncle?
I'm feeling great. I mean, it's been a really emotional kind of past 12 hours or so. We found this out last night. I'm sure Ben is eager to share photos with everybody here. I'm not going to jump the gun here. I'm not going to get ahead of him and start sharing all the details until Ben gives me the green light. But I can tell you that the baby is healthy. His wife is healthy. Everybody is doing great. And they are so happy. The baby is so adorable. She is absolutely perfect. Jimena Meiselas has arrived, folks. And so you got me today. And so I'm excited to be here with you, Cohen.
I'm happy to have you. I am. I'm happy to have you. You know, sometimes I get a little tired of your brother. But
I get it. Yeah.
That's true. I get a little tired of him. But you know what? I could understand that because thousands and thousands and thousands of people are getting sick and tired of the same old Donald J. Trump bullshit, whining, belly aching, talking about the big lie, the stolen election, and yada, yada, yada. In fact, people are getting so fucking sick and tired of it, they are leaving his rallies in droves. I mean, it's incredible. I want to show you here. There's a clip of people leaving. Now, of course, he's going to tell you, they never end up leaving my rallies. Nobody ever leaves. They all stay till the very end. In fact, they don't even want to leave. We have to throw them out. No, that's bullshit. All right? They're leaving the rallies all the time. In fact, they just left one rally in Pennsylvania. Show the clip.
Because of this lunatic and her, she's so much worse. She's like, you know, the television guys go, but the real military, you can in a room for 2 years and scream, look at them, and when they walk out.
Cohen, the New York Times did a report last week, and I've been hard on the New York Times for a lot of things, but I thought this was very smart. What they did was they did a comparison using photographic evidence of Trump rallies, and they showed what Trump rallies look like at the beginning, and then they showed what they look like about an hour in, and they did a compare and contrast and showed how many empty seats there were. And I think between that and Kamala Harris's comments at the debate when she said, Donald, people leave your rallies out of exhaustion and boredom. And you saw Donald Trump's face kind of light up in shock. He had never heard that before. And he has been incredibly self-conscious about this. And so now finally, this is something that we've been covering here, that you and Ben have been covering on Political Beatdown. We've been speaking about it quite frequently on the Midas Touch Network. Finally, this has reached the mainstream, I think, thanks to Kamala Harris making those remarks, and people are paying attention. What do these crowds do? That didn't just happen in Pennsylvania. It also happened in North Carolina. We got to watch this.
But take nothing for granted. You have to get out and vote. You just have to get out and vote. We cannot accept it. What they do is the only thing they do well. They cheat. Their politicians.
See, you know what we need to do? We need to be there. Like somebody like a Walter Matheson does stuff like that, where you're there, and as the people are leaving, you're asking them questions. Hey, isn't Donald still speaking? The rally's not supposed to be over for another hour. Why did you leave? And in fact, a couple of people have done that. They haven't really asked the best questions so far. So I would like to ask them, were you bored? Did you learn anything new about a Trump presidency? What was his biggest gripe? What was the part that you just said, enough is enough? It's too hot out. I'm too tired. I have too many things going on. I got to cut the grass. I got to feed the dog, whatever it might be, right? Whatever it is. My question to them is, why are you leaving your Führer's speech?
Yeah, that's got to be the next thing that is asked to them, because I need to hear those responses and I need to hear how they sort of rationalize it, because I feel like, they're not going to be like, yeah, we're bored, we don't like him. They're going to come up with something. And, one of the things that I've noticed in the past few days is Donald Trump, I think, being so haunted by this kind of new reality, or at least being confronted by this reality and being mocked by Kamala Harris and exposed in the New York Times and all of these videos. What he's trying to do now is he's trying to make his rallies a little shorter. And so that North Carolina rally, the footage for reference of those people leaving happened at about the 28-minute mark. Trump's speeches typically go about an hour 30, an hour 45, sometimes 2 hours. But that North Carolina speech, he ended up keeping it to like an hour, or like an hour 5. So he's trying to kind of truncate his own speeches to prevent that from happening. And it's still not working. But I would say, just in general, we are seeing a very different Donald Trump from 2020, and especially from 2016. I mean, Donald Trump just doesn't seem like he really has the juice in him anymore. He's rambling at these rallies, going off. I don't know if there is a script. I don't know. He's just very incoherent. And when you even just look at how many rallies he is doing far fewer rallies this cycle than in past cycles. He is not putting in the same level of work nearly to actually go out there and reach voters. And on the other hand, Vice President Harris and Tim Walz and all of their surrogates have had a very kind of aggressive schedule over these past few weeks. Of course, they need to make up some time because they came in the race late, but you are seeing kind of a more tired, a sleepy, a kind of very kind of slow, doddering Donald Trump out there.
Yeah, I mean, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. But since we're talking about North Carolina, it's like a great segue for us to talk about Mark Robinson.
Oh, boy.
There's no other way to describe him. This fucking disgrace of a human being. This disgrace of a politician and a wannabe, again, right? I cannot comprehend this bloviated piece of shit more than I guess all of the people that were working for him at the campaign. Because after his comments about being a black Nazi, and after this discounting the Holocaust, claiming that it didn't even occur, it was hogwash, turning around and making the claim that slavery never occurred, or that black people should not be entitled to reparations, and whether you believe that they should or they should not, it's completely irrelevant for for this conversation. They turn around and he says that, in fact, they were not slaves, they were employees, and the white landowners were not slave owners, but rather they were employers. And under his warped theory of whitewashing America's disgusting part of our history, he turns around and he says, it is not blacks that are deserving, assuming anybody's deserving of reparations, but rather the white individuals, because the black employees received food, housing, and clothing, and nobody should receive anything for free. Therefore, it is the white businessmen who should receive back reparation. Well, this was too much. This was way too much for his campaign staff, and his top 4 or 5 people left. They just walked out, and the rumor now is that Mark Robinson hired some felons in order to work on it. I mean, you can't make this thing up. Mark Robinson campaign. I'm officially announcing tonight that I have assumed the position of acting campaign manager for Mark Robinson. This is from Jack Berkman. Mark is a great American and a perfect governor for North Carolina. We look forward to a big victory in November.
And for those who don't know, Berkman is the guy, if you remember that guy, Jacob Wohl, who was this fraudster, a conspiracy theorist. They were both convicted for all of these kind of fraud perpetrated on different politicians. Like, Berkman and Jacob Wohl are really bad dudes. I will say that Mark Robinson has denied, well, he hasn't denied that he did or did not hire Berkman, but he just said, don't believe the rumors just yet. I will be the one who announces my staffing. But I think even just the fact that it's incredibly believable and seems kind of likely that this guy is now associated with Robinson's campaign, I think says a lot about Robinson and says a lot about MAGA. You still have not seen Donald Trump at all disavow Mark Robinson. I mean, the guy called himself a black Nazi and said he wants to bring back slavery. This should be low-hanging fruit to disavow yourself from somebody. But I think we need to remember this is Donald Trump's hand-picked candidate for the North Carolina governor's race. This is who Donald Trump wanted there. And the North Carolina...
But why can we not turn around and then just look back? You know, there's that old expression that history repeats itself, which is Trump never denounced David Duke. He turned around and he said that there were good people on both sides when referring to the white supremacists in Charlottesville, right? On top of that, I mean, even in my book, Disloyal, I talk about how he was ribbing a guy that worked for him at Mar-a-Lago and myself, who the guy happens to be of German descent with a very thick German accent, when he said to him, I bet your family chased Michael's family through the Red Forest, knowing that my father is a Holocaust survivor. This is who Donald Trump is. Go ahead. You were saying, Brett.
Well, you just really see the weakness on full display of this Republican Party, particularly under Donald Trump, because Trump refuses to say anything. And to your point, you know, it's a feature. It's not a bug. He does this all the time, exactly like you were saying. The North Carolina GOP released some kind of deranged statement, you know, kind of blaming the liberal media and a hit piece and blah, blah, blah. And when JD Vance was asked if he believes Mark Robinson's denials about this whole thing, JD Vance was like, well, I don't not believe him. Like just, can you not be cowards for 1 second? Brian Kemp, who's sort of one of the more kind of normie Republicans, if you will, in Georgia, did rescind his endorsement of Robinson, and other Republicans have as well. But it's amazing that for some people, like, it takes this, like just think about before all this. Before all this, Mark Robinson was the guy who denied the Holocaust. Before all this, Mark Robinson was the guy who said his political enemies should be killed. Before all this, Mark Robinson was the guy who spread all of these other conspiracy theories, one after the next, more deranged. And this was the thing that caused you to jump ship. Now Mark Robinson has something like 2 or 3 staffers left in his camp. The whole thing is a disaster. The Republican Governors Association has now pulled all future ads for Robinson. They're basically letting the past ads that they had their run, and I think they kind of ended went until today. Now they have no more advertising going up from now until the election. And as Simon Rosenberg, who is a data guru and a friend of the Midas Touch Network, said, this is a disaster for Donald Trump because North Carolina is a crucial state. It's a state that could swing the election. And Donald Trump now is neck and neck with Kamala Harris, up in some of the polls against her, down in some of the polls against her. And having this scandal in North Carolina that could very well depress the Republican vote, and having less enthusiasm for Mark Robinson could very well affect Donald Trump on the ticket as well. We're seeing these national polls now where we're seeing kind of consistently Kamala Harris up 4, like in the CBS News national poll. There was this Wisconsin poll from Mass Inc. where Kamala Harris was up 53% to 46%. We're seeing her up 47% to 41% in the NBC national poll when they put all the candidates in there. And that seems to be the spread at which we're seeing her right now. And now, like we always say on this show and on other shows, never let these polls get you complacent. These polls are a snapshot. They show trends, and we usually like to say, screw the polls, right? But use them as an opportunity to kind of see where things are heading. Use them to, kind of spark your enthusiasm. Make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure everybody is out there is registered to vote, because ultimately the only poll that matters is going to be that poll on election day. Now, Donald Trump was avoiding speaking about Mark Robinson on the campaign trail in North Carolina, but let's see the issues that Donald Trump was speaking at in North Carolina. My camera might be going in and out.
Yeah, it is. It is. But let me bring something up for a quick second here, because one of the things that you've heard me say over and over and over again is the fact that there is not a group out there other than white supremacists that Donald Trump has not denigrated over the course of, let's just use the last 9 years. Not one. Starting with coming down the golden escalator and going right after Mexicans, immigrants. He went after the very first thing that he did when he became president of the United States is tried to pass a Muslim ban. Okay, Islamophobia. He's made comments his entire life about Jews, as an example. And I can't understand how any Jew would vote for him, but he makes a statement that the only people he wants counting his money are short guys with yarmulkes. I mean, again, playing right into the trope about Jews and money. He talks about blacks. He talks about Haitians eating animals. He talks about what he's always doing is dehumanizing somebody. And you know what? When Tim Walz goes ahead and says that Trump or J.D. Vance, that they're weird and it goes viral, that finally caught Donald Trump's attention. Not a bunch of fucking people walking down Charlottesville Street with tiki torches screaming, Jews will not replace us, or Donald Trump wanting to ask Border Patrol when migrants are trying to come in over through the waterways, well, why can't we just shoot them? Now, again, this is not me saying it. These are people who have said it a long time ago, and it's never been refuted by Trump. And when they said, no, sir, you cannot shoot these people who are trying to enter. And then his comment is, well, why can't we just at least shoot him in the legs? This is the mentality of this man. He is fucking weird. They are both weird. In fact, I think we have a clip of that. Let's play that clip.
She picked this character, this weird guy. You know, he said weird. JD and I are not weird. We got a lot of problems, so we're not weird. He is a weird dude, isn't he? So she got to meet.
Yeah. I mean, sure, you're not weird. You see, what happened here, just so you know, and again, I know him better than anybody. What ended up happening here is Von Schitzenpants saw, based upon the trend on social media, that calling Trump and J.D. Vance weird really took off like a rocket ship. It became a trending meme. It became a trending hashtag. So Trump doing what he does best, or thinks what he does best, it's called deflection and projection. He's deflecting it off of himself and trying to project it onto Kamala Harris and Tim Walz by saying it over and over and over and over again and getting his acolytes to say the same thing. You see what I'm saying there, Brett?
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, and it just shows you like how fragile of a human being he is, that this is the one thing that gets him upset. And I think it speaks a lot to his character. You know, like you said, you know, people have said, called Donald Trump out rightfully for being dangerous, for being unhinged, for being crazy, for being autocratic and all these other things. But it's the weird thing that has him completely fixated, kind of throughout all of this. And Donald Trump just continues to kind of run scared at these events from Kamala Harris. I think one of the big shifts that we've seen is Kamala Harris has a position of strength and Donald Trump has a position of weakness, and Donald Trump doesn't know how to kind of act when he's on the defensive. So Vice President Harris keeps challenging Donald Trump to these debates, and she had accepted another debate with CNN in October, and she goes, you said anytime, any place, anywhere, right? And Trump just keeps like running scared of it, and then he made this ridiculous excuse at the North Carolina rally that I think we have here.
That's not what you want. That's not what you want. Kamala and her group have seen what's happening to their campaign, and it's not going well for them. And they would like, just announced a little while ago as I was coming off the plane, they would like to do another debate. Although, good entertainment value. A lot of people say, oh, do it, it's great entertainment. I've already done two. One with Crooked Joe Biden at CNN, and the other one with Kamala on ABC. CNN was very fair, I thought. Joe was driven out of the race. It was a coup, by the way, but he was driven out of the race. And they've been widely criticized by the radical left lunatics for all of the fairness. They were very fair. In other words, they won't be fair again because they took a lot of abuse from the radical left. ABC was 3-on-1, but I was given credit for having done a very, very good job. I appreciate that. We did a great job. It was 3-on-1. The problem with another debate is that it's just too late. Voting has already started. She's had her chance to do it with Fox. You know, Fox invited us on, and I waited, and they turned it down. But now she wants to do a debate right before the election with CNN because she's losing badly. You know, it's like a fighter. She sees the pulse. She sees what's happening. She's losing badly, but it's like a fighter who goes into the ring and gets knocked out. The first thing he says is, I want a rematch. I want a rematch.
Yeah. So let me just bring it back to the whole thing about trending stories and hashtags and so on. Trump knows that he lost the debate. He knows he looked like a fucking idiot. He was unprepared. He was definitively not prepared to debate somebody like Kamala Harris, who actually spent quite some time ensuring that her comments, that her responses made sense. All Trump did is lie, whine, gripe, and lie some more. And he was unhappy with ABC because they called him out on the lies. By the way, he didn't win the Joe Biden debate either. Joe Biden lost it because Joe Biden just, I don't know what he was on or what was going on there, but Joe Biden was in essence asleep while Trump was lying at the wheel. I mean, the whole thing is just crazy. But what Trump is doing there is, again, he's trying to deflect. Wasn't me. It has to do with the debate, and all of a sudden it's like, elections already have started and so on, and it's too close, and I've already won. No, he knows he didn't, so he's going to try to keep spinning the story, to rewrite history, to sane wash his poor performance, which happens again and again and again. And he doesn't want to. It's really more about laziness, Brett, than anything else. He doesn't want to have to prepare for another debate. He wouldn't have done Fox either, by the way, because that would mean he would have to prepare. But the only reason he contemplated Fox is because they would be asking him, so Donald, how many times did you chew your meatball before you actually swallowed it? And then Kamala Harris, why don't you tell us about the policy that you plan to do at the border? All right, when you have 10,000 people every single day coming through, we have no place to do this, and yada, yada, yada. Donald, what kind of gas are you putting in your car these days? Or are you not even allowed to drive? And how come your hair looks so good? And did you lose weight? That's what he's waiting for. He's waiting for Fox to protect him so that he doesn't have to prepare, because Donald Trump is lazy.
And I would say Kamala Harris has 787.5 million reasons not to trust Fox with the debate, with their track record. But, first off, let's just also put the fact out there that debates often happen in October and the end of October. That's a normal thing. And so it's obviously just a complete made up excuse. But you really kind of see this panic arising in Donald Trump and in Fox, quite frankly, as it gets closer to the election and as these polls continue to shift. I mean, heck, there was even a poll that was released this morning that was like a pretty devastating shift from young voters for Donald Trump. I mean, look at this. Harris up 61% to Trump's 30% for voters aged 18 to 29. And to show you just the shift here, Biden in the last poll was up 13. Harris is up 31. So you know that the Trump campaign is getting this data. They're presented now with the reality that it really goes against them. Like, you even remove the candidates, but you look at the objective reality of the stock market hitting record highs, of inflation coming down, of crime falling, just kind of by every metric and every indicator, this election has gotten away from Donald Trump. You could see this post right here from Stephen Ratner. It said the FBI released its annual U.S. crime statistics estimates for 2023 today, reporting an 11.6% decline in murder, further evidence that Trump's narratives of exploding crime are complete nonsense. And so what does Donald Trump do when he is confronted with a bad reality? Cohen, I think you know this best. He tries to create his own reality. So now that inflation is coming down, Donald Trump has to say inflation is now coming down because the economy is doing badly. You could watch this.
And we will rapidly defeat inflation. So inflation is a misnomer because the inflation is now getting stabilized because our country is doing badly. But the
Cohen.
It's so stupid. But if that's not it's actually not even the stupidest thing that he said at this rally. Trump goes on. One of the reasons why Gen Z and women hate Donald Trump is obviously for the pride that he takes and constantly talks about in the overturning of Roe versus Wade. I mean, the young generation cannot understand the fact that they, especially the women, that they have less rights than their grandmothers in 2024 going into 2025. I don't think I can do stupidity justice as well as Trump when he started talking about it. See if you could play that clip, if you would, Jeremy, on Trump talking about how women love him and that they'll be happier with him as president. Let's show that.
And at long last, this national nightmare that we're going through will be over. Women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. You will no longer be thinking about abortion because it is now where it always had to be, with the states and with the...
And this is his new thing too. And he knows that he is completely underwater with female voters. And so his thing is once again to try to create a new reality. So he does these all caps posts saying, I am the protector of women. You will not even be thinking about abortion when I am president. Everybody loves this. This is great what's happening now. It's like, no, people are actually dying right now. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is going to all of his rallies now and saying these comments. And what I've heard from women speaking out online about Donald Trump's statements, like I won't play this one, but Donald Trump was, when he was speaking in Pennsylvania yesterday, was going, women, I am your protector. I will protect you from the bad migrants who are invading your towns. I will save you. I will protect you. You will have beautiful babies. I will save you. And the women were like, this sounds like an abuser.
Dude,
I've heard this.
Creepy. It sounds like
a cult.
Sounds like The Handmaid's Tale, and then he is the commander. I mean, that's exactly what it said. My daughter was the one who said it to me best the other day. That this is really demented. I mean, this goes beyond beyond what the powers of a president actually are. And worse than that is he doesn't understand. He really just doesn't understand that he put his foot in his mouth. And instead of going ahead and instead of apologizing and saying it was an inarticulate way that I described it, that this isn't about states. What happens if hypothetically you live in a state where abortion is illegal? Do you know that we've already seen in just the last 2 weeks a series of women who have died in the parking lot, that they have bled out as a result of miscarriages where they needed a D&C and they could not get it because it's classified the same as an abortion, and the doctors refuse to touch them. This is getting out of control, and it's just another reason why Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are absolutely unfit to be president and vice president, not just of this country, of the ice cream store down the block. All right, happens to be true. And what does he then do? He's going to continue, because that's what he does, continues to double down, triple down, quadruple down, when he now starts to attack Kamala Harris as being incompetent. Let's play that.
Ever She's not competent to be president either, but I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be rude. She's not competent to be president. Did you see her on Oprah? That's not going to be. That's not going to be president. Oprah didn't know what the hell to do. Oprah was like embarrassed. She wanted to hide under the table, but she's a professional and she was able to sort of disguise it. No, she wanted to go right under the table.
And once again, just so much projection there. And he is so jealous of the fact that Kamala Harris is getting the support of people like Oprah, and did an incredible job, by the way, during that town hall. We got a lot more that we want to cover here. Donald Trump has made some other like bizarre gaffes earlier today that I want to get Cohen's take on. I also want to speak a little bit more about this Pennsylvania rally, Donald Trump trying to rig the election in Nebraska to his favor, and that kind of totally backfiring. Donald Trump trying to harm Americans by shutting down the government, and that also failing. First, before we go to break, I want to remind you to check out patreon.com/political beatdown. You get some bonus stuff from us here at Political Beatdown from Cohen. Cohen does Q&As with everybody. What is it, once a month, Cohen? And you get to meet him.
We try to do it. We try to do it 2 to 3 times a month. In fact, I'd like to maybe on Thursday, even without Ben. I like Ben, when he's there, because there are a lot of questions that people want to ask Ben as well. But I'm more than happy to sit down. There's too much going on right now that needs to be, as Trump would say, it needs to be weaved. Quite frankly, people say it's genius. It's quite frankly, it's genius. But we weave it, and that's what we do at Patreon. We weave this scenario. But I bring you back to private conversations and my decade-long relationship with him, so that you understand why he's doing and saying the batshit crazy things that he's saying. But let's go to those ads, huh?
Let's do it.
It's hot outside, and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend that you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA, and they use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so that you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. And you know what? They feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. Using silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature, again, all night long, no matter the weather, so that you get better sleep every single night. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. Sleep clean with Miracle. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7%. Get a look, 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. So there's no more gross odors too. Go to trymiracle.com/beat to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code BEAT, B-E-A-T, at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save, get a load of this, an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Now upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. And go to trymiracle.com/beat and use the code BEAT to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40%. Again, that's trymiracle.com/beat to treat yourself. And thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. Fall can be a stressful season, and stress leads to a feeling of being drained. To maintain your energy levels and your heart-healthy routine, it's best to avoid relying on stimulants. Super Beats Heart Chews, it offers a convenient, delicious, plant-based way to support healthy blood pressure and circulation, 2 things that I need. So enjoy a heart-healthy boost without the jitters. Paired with a healthy lifestyle, the unique antioxidant compound in Super Beets, it's clinically shown to be nearly 2 times more effective at promoting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. Super Beets heart chews are incredibly delicious. Really, you got to try them to believe it. And so much better than any alternative supplements that are out there. I take my Super Beets heart chews each and every morning, and it's really kickstarted my morning routine. After taking my Super Beets heart chews, I feel like I have more energy and I'm ready to take on the day. So here's something. More doctors, pharmacists, and cardiologists recommend Super Beets for heart health support than any other brand around. And Super Beets heart chews also offers a convenient way to support healthy blood pressure since they're individually wrapped so you can take them on the go. So double your potential with Super Beets heart chews and get a free 30-day supply of Super Beets heart chews on all bundles, plus 15% off your first order by going to getsuperbeets.com and using code BEAT. That's getsuperbeets, BEETS.com, and use code BEAT, BEAT now.
Welcome back to Political Beatdown. Cohen, I love those ad reads. And thank you to all our sponsors out there. And thank you to all of you for supporting our sponsors. You know, we're independently operated here. We're not funded by billionaires. So those pro-democracy sponsors go a long way.
What's up with that? Why don't we get a couple of billionaires on our side, right? Wouldn't that be easy?
Right? Now, the billionaires only apparently they pump all their money into the right-wing disinfo that is flooding. And by the way, which has been ramping up so much in recent days. And, you know, I think one of my messages to the Political Beatdown audience is also be vigilant out there online, because there is a lot of BS that is spreading. I mean, just yesterday, you know, I was looking online and Vice President Harris had received this endorsement from the Polish American community in Pennsylvania that consists of like 800,000 or so voters. It was a big endorsement, and they endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris because of her support of Ukraine and because of their fears over Vladimir Putin. And Vice President Harris is somebody who stands up to Putin, unlike Donald Trump. And so what did I see circulating on websites like Twitter or X or whatever? The complete opposite. There was a viral post that said Donald Trump was endorsed by this people. They take actual news stories, they flip it and say that this happened to Trump instead of Kamala, or vice versa, depending on what the framing of the story is. And they spread it. It's uplifted by people like Elon Musk. And because it has a lot of likes and a lot of views, people just are kind of trained to think those things are true. But there's so much disinfo. There are so many lies out there. So we just all need to just be vigilant about it. Okay. If you see something that kind of looks a little off, take a step back, you know, do some research, try to check the sources out, see where it's coming from. And, you know, we've been talking about through this show, Cohen, Donald Trump's just kind of continued downward spiral. And you could tell that all of this, all the pressure is really getting to him. And he's kind of just having trouble speaking at these rallies at this point. Yeah. Like he can't even get out words. And when he does, they're kind of a mishmash of things, and he says the opposite of what he actually means to say. Like, for example, Donald Trump today was in Georgia, and I think he meant to say that he gave tax cuts to people, but instead he said that he gave the greatest tax hikes to Americans. Watch this moment.
We did so much. We gave you before the biggest tax hikes in the history of our country, and the greatest regulatory cuts in the history. Think of it.
And then there was a moment where Donald Trump was like, he was drooling, I think, and you actually see him wiping the drool off of his face. Watch closely in this clip.
But they were forced to be out because in this country.
And then there was this moment where Donald Trump called Charlottesville Charlottetown.
She didn't say anything except lies like a bloodbath, like Charlottetown. She lied.
And then again, it was just the same old rambling about the debate. He still cannot get this debate out of his mind. And he said, they say I fell into a trap. I didn't fall into a trap. I had to refute him. Watch this.
If I then refute them, Marjorie, if I say that's not true, and just give a few seconds and people understand it, they say he fell into a trap. No, if they say bad about me, I got to refute it. I do it quickly, but I refute it. As soon as I refute, oh, he fell into a trap. Why would I let her say something bad about me and let it stand out there? If I don't refute it, people are going to think it's true. These people are the worst. These people are the worst.
Who are these idiots that is in the audience clapping for this moron standing up there? I mean, this isn't even like a nickel, sideshow. Come see the two-headed dog. No, this is an old man who is cognitively in decline, who is showing signs of dementia. He's showing signs of drooling. The guy can't. How do you mix up Charlottesville with Charlottetown? How do you talk about rate hikes when you're talking about rate cuts? Imagine if Kamala Harris did any of those. They would be calling, not even for her to resign, they'd be calling for her execution. I mean, that's how warped this whole thing has become. It's almost like whatever Donald Trump says, no matter how stupid, no matter what gaffe that he makes, well, yeah, that's not exactly what I meant, and here's again the telltale, and I've told this to you, my brigaders, 100 times, I'm going to make it 101. When you see accordion hands like this, or like this, all right, you know that Trump is lying. Just understand, every time you see the hands start moving, understand that he is lying. That's just how he goes. But there's a whole slew of clips that we have of Trump gaffes while turning around and claiming that it was actually Kamala Harris who cannot speak. Once again, the two words of the day, right? Deflection and projection. Let's play that clip.
And you have the border czar, this person that can't even speak. She can't ask a question. She can't answer a question from.
Always projection with him. And, the thing I just don't get, and you bring up the point about people
Did you notice the hands?
Always accordion hands, but it's, when his hands are moving, but it's also when his lips are moving, he's lying.
Good
so,
one. Good
so,
one.
So you got both there.
The funny Meiselas brother.
But you got these audiences at these events, the ones who aren't walking out are applauding this nonsense. And you're like, what are you applauding? Like, how is this making your life better? Donald Trump at the event yesterday in Pennsylvania just kept riffing and going on about like different celebrities who he's upset about. Like, how does this help the American people one bit? Like Donald Trump, we saw in the last rally, right? He was speaking about Oprah. Well, he continued to speak about Oprah in Pennsylvania. And we could play this clip of him being very upset about Oprah.
Gets out Oprah Winfrey, who I used to know well. She used to love me until I decided to run for politics. Oh, let's go to Mar-a-Lago, Donald. I love the place so much. No, she used to love me, but once I ran for politics, that was the end of that, and that was okay with me. I couldn't care less because we got to make our country great again. Got to make it great again, greater than ever before.
And then Trump was whining about the Tonight Show at his rally. We could play this.
It was like 2015, thinking about running. I was going to run. I went on his show, right? And ABC is dying. He was the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards. Remember I did that? Remember I wrote I put a truth. Everybody should go to Truth immediately. And by the way, we also love Elon, I have to tell you. Gave me a big endorsement. Big one. But remember in the Academy Awards, I said how he's the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards. And this stupid guy goes up, and just before the Best Picture of the Year, the show is almost over. They're waiting for the Best Picture of the Year. He gets up and he says, and his wife said, please don't do it. Please, darling, don't go out. His manager said, don't do it. I have to do it. He goes out and reads my truth to the entire audience right before the best prime time, the Best Picture. And it said basically, he is the worst host of the history. He reads the whole thing. And then I think he said something like, ha, 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 he thinks he bothers me or some crap like that. I said, he's one of the dumbest human beings ever. He should have listened to his wife. Well, it was like 2015, thinking about running. I was going to run. I went on his show, right? And he goes, The Tonight Show, which is dying. They're all dying. Where's Johnny Carson? Bring back Johnny. It made you appreciate, right, Uncle Sam?
Right. The funny thing is half the people in that audience don't even remember Johnny Carson because they're underage. But my favorite are the group of guys with the hard hats on, not moving at all, not applauding, not smiling, not laughing. Kind of, I guess, maybe they're paid to be there or something, but even they are fucking bored with the lies and the bullshit and the fact that, as you brought up this point, and I just sort of want to stay with it for a second. How is any of that conversation going to better your life, your family's life, your friends' lives, this country? How does it do it better? Sitting attacking Jimmy Kimmel. By the way, Jimmy Kimmel was fucking great on the awards. And on top of that, he doesn't like Jimmy Kimmel because Jimmy Kimmel makes fun of him. Donald Trump has the thinnest skin. For a guy that claims that his skin is thicker than an elephant's, he is the thinnest skin, whining crybaby that you could possibly imagine. He knows that he is right now in what's called a life and death scenario. He knows it because if in fact that he is found, if he loses this election, he's already been found guilty on 34 counts criminally. He knows that sentencing is coming about 2 weeks after the election, and he knows that it is going to encompass a very, very significant penalty. Unless he wins this election, he could see himself either in a jail or in a serious and a really significant home confinement situation that he does not know how to contend with. He will not be able to go out there and play golf. He will not be able to run around pretending to be the president any longer. He will not be flying around on planes. He will either be relegated to one home and only one home where he's not going to have people coming and going. He's not going to have the ability to do the things that he wants, or he will end up, there you go, the Mar-a-Lardo Correctional Facility. But it won't be at Mar-a-Lardo. It may be across the street, but he's not going to be walking around the place pretending he's president of the United States, mixing and mingling with people. No. I believe Mershon at sentencing, assuming that Trump loses, is going to be very significant.
It's been said before, but I will say it again. Donald Trump is not running for election as much as he is running for prison. And, I think that's why you see also the derangement grow, because he knows that his freedom is quite literally slipping away as he sees his poll numbers slip away.
The crazy thing is, if you were in this life or death situation, just imagine yourself, Brett, in a life or death situation. If you win the election to the presidency, you basically escape accountability for anything that you have done bad, including the fact that you've already lost, right? That you were found guilty, 34 counts criminally, forgetting about the 500 million civilly, both of which I was the key witness of. What does he do? He goes out and once again attacks yet another community. If it's not Mexicans, if it's not Jews, if it's not blacks, if it's not women, now all of a sudden it's Haitians. And by the way, there is a very large population of Haitian Americans in this country. So if, just to show you how stupid the guy is, if you had half a brain and you are fighting for your life, your freedom, just imagine to go out there and to start making up this crazy rumors and perpetuating it about Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, destroying the blood of that community, and because they're not humans, because they're animals themselves, according to Trump, that they actually eat people's pets. Why don't you play that clip?
With left-wing nonprofits to inundate Pennsylvania communities, changing the character of small towns and villages all over our country and changing them forever. They will never be the same. They will never be. Do you think Springfield will ever be the same? I don't think. The fact is, and I'll say it now, you have to get them the hell out. You have to get them out. I'm sorry. To get them out. Can't have it. Can't have it. They've destroyed it. It's terrible. It's terrible to say, and it's a tough.
And that right there, Cohen, is straight out of the Nazi playbook. I mean, I'm not going to mince words there. You have the crowd saying, send them back. He wants to deport, let me tell you also, let me emphasize this, legal Haitian immigrants who live in Ohio because of a false story that he spread. And let me remind the audience as well that the reason why these Haitians are living in Springfield is because the town begged them to come there because their town was failing. The town was hit by opioid abuse. They couldn't get any people who lived in the town to work in the factories. It was quite literally a failing town in Ohio that was about to just completely collapse. The Haitians came in and they quite literally saved the city. And when you go around that city and you ask people about the immigrants there, when you ask the factory owners, when you ask the elected officials, they all say how important the Haitians are to their community, and they all say how everything Donald Trump and JD Vance continue to spread are complete and utter lies. Heck, even Vivek Ramaswamy went to Springfield yesterday and he was asked, so did you hear anything about this eating dogs and cats? And he said, no, I've seen nothing that would give me any evidence that that's something that happened. That's Vivek Ramaswamy. That's Mr. Trump, fawn over Trump guy. And so when even he's saying it, and those comments are just so reprehensible. And what's great that I'm seeing, Cohen, is the Haitian community stand up to it. We see the Haitian community in Uniondale getting there in numbers with signs like this: "We don't eat pets, we vote." The Miami Herald wrote an article about the Haitian community in Florida saying, "Big mistake about Donald Trump. South Florida Haitians slam Trump's false claim about immigrants eating pets." And as we said on social media, it would be the sweetest karma in history if Trump loses Florida because he pissed off the more than 500,000 Haitians who live in that state. It's complete vile language. It's reprehensible. Donald Trump knows that his support from other groups has vanished, so he is playing to just the racist MAGA base and is trying to get them riled up. But we see right through it. I think the American people right through it. Cohen, one more thing, and then let's get to one more.
I just want to say this. So a friend of mine who's Haitian sent me actually this picture yesterday because he was so sick and tired of all of this. So I thought I would share it with you.
It says eat. It's a cat holding a sign that says "Eat more chicken." Yeah, the memes have been
fantastic. Fantastic. But you're so right. If you watch any of the old Nazi film clips, and they're on National Geographic all the time, this is the identical speech that Adolf Hitler used to make. The only difference, we're not Germany. All right. And we're not 1935, 1938. And nobody gives a shit, to be honest with you, other than this racist group of Trump supporters. So you're right. I'm with you on that. Good for the Haitian community in standing up. And I do believe between North Carolina, now Ohio, and Florida, with all the stupid shit emanating from him and Shady Vance's mouth, they are all in massive play. And right now, swinging towards Harris Walls.
Well, we'll get into some of the more stupid shit Trump has attempted over the past 24 or 48 hours. But first, we're going to go to this quick ad break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's funny how someone who doesn't even have a cat is doing an ad for a cat food company. You see, a short time ago, I received a massive box filled with food and a few toys. So what did I do? I took it over to my next door neighbor who I know has a cat. And she told me that she heard of this company and was actually eager to try it out on her cat, Marlo. And a few days later, it was amazing. There was a package delivered to my apartment from my neighbor with a dozen of the greatest chocolate chip cookies that you can imagine, because she knows that I love them. And in it was really a beautiful note. And it said, "Thank you from the bottom of Marlo's heart. He loved it." So I guess that the adage, happy cat, happy life, or something like that, applies here. And that's why if you have a cat, you've got to try Smalls. It's time to make kibble a thing of the past. You see, Smalls cat food is protein-packed recipes are made with preservative-free ingredients that you'd find in your own fridge. And it's delivered right to your door. That's why veterinarians.org rates Smalls 10 out of 10 for ingredient quality. I mean, as does my neighbor. And I can attest that Marlowe prefers Smalls way more than his previous cat food. I mean, my neighbor told me that she did a taste test. She put 2 bowls side by side, and Marlowe immediately went to Smalls. So here's a little company history. Smalls was started back in 2017 by a couple of guys home cooking cat food in small batches for their feline friends. And a few short years later, they've served millions. Listen to that. They've served millions of meals to cats across the United States. I mean, no more stinky and smelly old cat food or leaving the house smelling like cat food yourself. Feel better knowing that you're feeding your cat real food, not burnt kibble. So at this point, you may be wondering to yourself, why can't you just feed your cat kibble? Well, believe it or not, your cute kitty descended from ferocious desert cats who hunted live prey for food. And guess what? Your cat isn't any different. They still need fresh, protein-packed meals to be at their best. Now, other cat food brands know this, but they choose to put their wallets first. They fill their food with some mysterious meat byproducts, artificial flavoring, and preservatives who have names that I don't even want to try to pronounce. And if that sounds gross, imagine having to eat it every day. After making the switch to Smalls, 88% of cat owners have reported overall health improvements, and that's a really big deal. But the team at Smalls, they're so confident that your cat will love their product that you can actually try it risk-free. That means that they'll refund you if your cat won't eat their food. Now is the time to make the switch to Smalls. So head right now to smalls.com/beat and use promo code BEAT, B-E-A-T, at checkout for, listen to this, for 50% off your first order plus free shipping. I mean, that's the best offer that you'll find, but you have to use my code BEAT, B-E-A-T, for 50% off your first order. So one last time, that's promo code BEAT, B-E-A-T, for 50% off your first order plus free shipping. Try it now.
Michael Cohen on the ad reads. I love it. We are back with Political Beatdown. My name is Brett Meiselas, filling in for my brother Ben. They just delivered.
You know, I think people actually like you, according to the comments. I think people like you better than your brother. You know, Ben may be out for a while.
I got to say, big shoes to fill, but I am very grateful for how nicely the Midas Mighty community has welcomed me on the channel. I've been doing a lot of the reports, filling in for Ben, and the comments have been absolutely incredible. So I just do want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for, embracing the change. And I really appreciate all your comments. Cohen.
Just so our brigaders know that Brett is the favored child over Ben. And so it makes perfect sense.
It's all true. I can't dispute these. These are undisputed facts, as they'd say.
Here on Political Beatdown, it's nothing but the facts.
Nothing.
Just like my Mea Culpa podcast. Nothing but the facts.
Nothing but the facts. And we were speaking before the break about Donald Trump and the, for lack of a better phrase, the stupid shit he's trying to pull. And we've been talking about Donald Trump's panic and his efforts to kind of rile up his base of kind of the racist supporters by clinging to these, the Springfield story and all these other lies and hoaxes and just going all in on the most reprehensible sorts of comments. But on the flip side of that, Donald Trump is also basically trying to do what he can to rig the election in his favor. And we're seeing a lot of the maneuvers that Donald Trump is making right now are things that we may have previously seen in the wake of the 2020 election, like the calls to Brad Raffensperger to find me the 11,000 votes. We're seeing that happen kind of right now before the election. And you could see this trajectory kind of creeping up with Trump and his MAGA buddies in Congress, kind of working in the background to try try to alter the results of the upcoming election. And I think it's dangerous. I think we all need to be paying attention here on Political Beatdown. But Donald Trump's first few efforts have completely and utterly failed. Donald Trump was trying to change the rules in Nebraska, the Electoral College rules, and was rebuffed by a senator, a state senator, Mike McDonald. And what happened here is, to kind of step back for a second, they have two states that don't abide by the winner-take-all Electoral College system. It's Nebraska and Maine. Instead, what they do is you get an electoral vote for the state, and then they divide electoral votes up between the individual congressional districts. So the district where Omaha, Nebraska is frequently goes Democratic in presidential elections. So Donald Trump and the Republicans started this last-second lobbying effort, and you saw Lindsey Graham going on Fox and calling up officials in Nebraska. I remember when Lindsey Graham was at the center of the whole Georgia and Brad Raffensperger scandal as well. I mean, we're seeing the same kind of connective tissue here between these efforts. But we saw Trump make this concerted effort in order to try to change these rules at the last minute in Nebraska to make it a winner take all. And why? Because say Trump was successful and Trump wins Nebraska, that means Kamala Harris could still win Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And if she loses some of those other states like North Carolina and some of the others, it could be a 269 to 269 electoral college, which then throws it to the House of Representatives. And so this is a scenario that Donald Trump and MAGA Mike Johnson and all these Republicans were kind of plotting out in their head. Thankfully, there was a state senator in Nebraska, Mike McDonald, who actually stood up to Donald Trump and said he would not change the rules this close to the election. And that state senator's name, Mike McDonald, he said, quote, "After deep consideration, it is clear to me that right now, 43 days from election day, is not the moment to make this change." McDonald was known to be like the kind of key vote that would have pushed this thing over the edge into Trump's favor to put Nebraska in that winner-take-all camp, which would have vastly benefited Donald Trump. And one of the things as part of their calculation as well was that they felt it was too late for Maine to make the same decision with their winner-take-all system to change that. So they thought they would be able to sneak this through and give Donald Trump yet another kind of advantage there. And we are seeing these kind of moments play out, just in all sorts of kind of various ways. Donald Trump wanted to shut down the government. This was his latest big push. If you remember, the House Republicans, Donald Trump the other day called on House Republicans to put the SAVE Act inside the continuing resolution bill to keep the government opened. And the SAVE Act, basically, it's put out there under the guise of like preventing undocumented immigrants from voting, but undocumented immigrants already are not able to vote in federal elections. So what this does is it makes it harder for actual legal citizens to vote in elections, which also benefits Donald Trump. So Speaker Johnson basically tried to humor Donald Trump, and he put the bill to the floor, basically knowing that it was going to collapse. And what ultimately happened there was that even the Republicans were like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Like, why are you going to kind of harm our election chances so close to these elections? The American people are going to see through it. They're going to see that we're once again to blame for the chaos and once again to blame for the government shutting down. And so Johnson today, he had to rebuke Trump on this. And what ultimately happened was, after this kind of failed process, Donald Trump had went on this guy's podcast. I think his name is Wayne Allen Root. He's one of these kind of big Trumper. He has a radio show or a podcast or something. Immediately after that, Wayne Allen Root started tweeting mean things about Mike Johnson. And I think it's of no coincidence that this happened immediately following his conversations with Donald Trump, where Wayne Allen Root wrote, "Johnson is a DC swamp rat, deep state plant." I mean, this could have been written by Trump. "And rhino traitor, horrible person, same as McCarthy, same as Ryan, same as Boehner. Clearly they have videos or photos of this weak milquetoast backstabbing loser in bed with somebody or something very bad." So Mike Johnson had to go on this kind of press tour today, and he had to basically grovel to Donald Trump and say, "I wasn't defying him. We're actually on the same page. Donald, I wasn't defying you. I promise." You could watch this. It's so pathetic.
Speaker, do you commit to observing regular order in the certification process of the 2024 election, even if Kamala Harris beats Donald Trump?
Well, of course, if we have a free, fair, and safe election, we're going to follow the Constitution. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Front row.
Mr. Speaker, have you spoken with former President Trump about this CR specifically, and has he approved it, given that he said he doesn't want a CR without the SAVE Act in it?
Yeah, no, what he was saying last week is the exact same thing that I was saying. He and I have been on exactly the same page. I saw a headline, I'm defying Trump. I'm not defying President Trump. I've spoken with him at great length, and he is very frustrated about the situation. His great concern is election security, and it is mine as well. It is all of ours. We are really seriously concerned about this, and we got to do everything that we can to ensure it. Congress, we passed the SAVE Act in the summer, and it's been sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk collecting dust. That is maddening to us. He understands fully, President Trump understands the current dilemma and the situation that we're in, and so there's no daylight between us, and I keep him apprised all the time of everything that's happening, because he is our nominee for president, and he's going to be the next president. So we'll continue working closely together. I'm not defying President Trump. We're getting our job done, and I think he understands that. So thank you all. Appreciate the time.
Donald, did you hear me? I'm not defying you.
Look, let me close this out by saying a couple of things here. First and foremost, all right, he wasn't speaking to Trump. Trump couldn't hear him as his nose and his head was buried up Trump's ass. Plain and simple. And as you know, that we always do here. I mean, that's why he's got shit all over the edge of his nose, right? But Mike Johnson with his glasses, the difference between a brown nose and an ass kisser. It's called depth perception. And Mike Johnson has none of that. And so, Mike Johnson, you, sir, are the problem that we are all having in this country. You and these MAGA fucking morons that is sitting there chanting, send them back, with these vile sort of applause when some idiot like Mark Robinson goes ahead and starts calling himself a black Nazi, or that the Holocaust was hogwash and so on. And so my two-finger salute goes to all of you. We're going to do something a little different today. It's going to go to more than just one person.
Wow.
It's going to Mike Johnson, as well as to all of those idiots in the audience that didn't have the balls or the seichel, the brains, to pick themselves up and get the fuck out and say, come on, enough is enough already. So to all of you, Mike Johnson, to you idiots that is sitting there perpetuating this stupidity over and over, as we are sitting now in one of the most complicated elections, one of the most important elections in U.S. history. Fuck you all. And with that, I also want to say, I think maybe on Thursday, I'm going to end up doing Patreon. So if you want, make sure that you join Patreon today so that you can get the secret link. It's listed down. Hold on. It's listed down below right there. I got to figure that out with the camera. Patreon.com/political beatdown. Join today so you can join us. You can get the secret code, which will be sent to you. You can join us. You could ask me a whole series of questions and so on. And by the way, another thing I have to ask of each and every one of you, please make sure that you're subscribed to my Mea Culpa podcast. It is the one that's right here on the Midas Touch Network on their RSS feed. All right, wherever you listen to your podcast, there it is. But it's the one with the blue banner icon. So do me a favor. Go there right now. Subscribe to that. I'll tell you another thing I'd like you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, which, by the way, is crushing it. It's crushing it. We're over 183,000 subscribers. It's free, by the way. 183,000 subscribers in 64 days. And that's thanks to so many of you. If you have not already subscribed, go to YouTube, my YouTube channel, The Michael Cohen Show. And lastly, Political Beatdown. Don't forget about us there too, wherever you listen to your podcasts, right? We're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we are everywhere. All right, so make sure that you subscribe to Political Beatdown there as well. It helps us with the algorithm, something that I know absolutely nothing fucking about other than it's an algorithm. All right, so thank you all for joining me and Brett today on Political Beatdown. Make sure, again, Patreon, join us. We'll see you soon. Political Beatdown. Boom.